everyone, and welcome to Botcast. I'm Mansa, your host, and today we have Prashant Darchandra, President and co-founder of AlgoLeap Technologies. Prashant, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Manasa.
Prashant, we appreciate your presence. Before we dive into our conversation, could you walk us through your background and expertise in the field?
Manasa, I've spent the early part to the late part of my career at Cognizant, where like half the time was spent in building competency centers, technology focused, digital, and post digital. Post that, I spent about 8 months with LTI, now LTI Mindtree, running delivery for their emerging verticals. And then post that, 3 years as CTO at First Source. I then joined AlgoLeap as a co-founder to drive the next phase of growth. At AlgoLeap, I focus on managing our delivery teams and building out our studio presence. And in our studios, we act as an external innovation partner to our clients, primarily focused on AI.
Prashant, to begin our discussion, I would like to hear your thoughts on the current buzz around ChatGPT and Gen AI. Do you believe we are witnessing a pivotal iPhone moment for this technology, or do you see it differently? And what potential challenges do you foresee as this field continues to evolve?
So, I mean, ChatGPT and iPhone are perhaps apples and oranges, but still, it merits a comparison, right? So, ChatGPT was like 100 million users in 8 weeks, and all of this was done, I'm given to believe, without a marketing plan, right? So that is like, truly unheard of. So definitely, I think the Chat GPT as a consumer brand is much bigger than the iPhone, right? Whether it will continue to be stable, whether it will continue to, be there on the leaderboards is yet to be seen. But I think, from what we've seen in the initial stages, definitely ChatGPT stacks up, higher than iPhone, right? And I'd like to say iPhone with its like branding and marketing muscle and being in the market for so long took I think 4 or 5 years to reach like 100 million shipments, right? So first phase, ChatGPT, but remains to be seen, how the rest of the battle plays out.
It's a fascinating perspective. Can you share how AlgoLeap has embraced Gen AI into your services? And do you have a real client story where it's made a significant impact?
So what Algolead does, right, is we focus on product engineering services, right, which essentially means that we kind of deliver best-in-class engineering efficiencies to help our clients build out modern apps. Yeah, and with Gen AI, we view their impact on like two parameters, right? So how do we get better quality, more efficiencies out, right? Which essentially is do more, do better with less. And the second part is how do we impact the business use cases, right? For the former, we are looking at coding assistants, right? Both using commercial tools, primarily the GitHub Copilot, plus building something of our own proprietary, and with our clients, using open source, right? The second part, again, that we are co-innovating with some of our clients is around quality engineering, which is around like test case generation, right? Using Gen AI, and this is to deliver like much higher levels of assurance, to some of the engineering applications that we build, right? Early stages, but like the promise is tremendous. Early results are great. Definitely the technology works. There is impact to be seen, and there is like really high levels of enthusiasm within our teams and our clients. On the other side, that is also very interesting in terms of like building out business applications, right? Space is evolving. There are like several SaaS platforms, but in terms of the work that we are doing, in terms of the experiments, is largely in the enterprise apps space, right? Where the gaps with what these enterprise applications deliver versus like what is needed by business, that is what we are fundamentally trying to solve with some of these Gen AI applications. So contracts management, service request management, general business automation across the board have been great use cases. I would like to highlight two engagements that or like proof of technology type initiatives that we are driving. One is around building a co-pilot for like all of our office productivity applications, right? Plus bundled with like enterprise case management to deliver, what should I say, an assistant, right? To back office managers, middle management, senior management professionals. The other piece that we are trying to drive with Gen AI is to completely reimagine how we view, business intelligence and visualization, right? There is strong feedback, from our customers, and what I've seen in the past is we spend way too much money, way too much effort, way too much time from business to build out dashboards, but the usage and the value leaves a lot to be desired, right? The reason being, users look at the visualization, get some answers, but they spend an equal amount or more time to interpret results, right? So this way, what we are trying to do is we're trying to look at Gen AI from an enterprise data standpoint, right? From an enterprise system standpoint, and look to see how we can eliminate the clutter of dashboards. So, that's like broad strokes. I hope I've answered your question.
That's impressive, Prashant. Looking forward, what do you see as the most common enterprise uses for Gen AI?
Knowledge management, right? Gen AI will actually deliver, or like Gen AI will form the backbones of the killer apps, right? So knowledge management as we knew last year versus this year is like a completely different ballgame, right? So any application of knowledge management is like an order of magnitude shift. Likewise, conversational applications, right? They have received a massive boost with Gen AI. This is what we are seeing right now, but and they will continue to evolve. Continue to get stronger. There is no looking back. What I'd like to say is the entire design type activities, marketing type activities, that is also undergoing a lot of change. But they will again undergo massive amounts of disruption as like vision based Gen AI takes hold, becomes more stable, right? Becomes stronger. That's my prediction, and we'll see how right I am soon.
When it comes to industry leadership, who do you think is at the forefront in the Gen AI field? And how is Algoli positioning itself in the industry?
So what we see and hear, right? To be fair, is driven by OpenAI and Microsoft and Azure with their close collaboration, right? Technically, if I were to answer, that would be the answer. But I'd like to say each of the big three hyperscalers, right? Azure, Google Cloud, and AWS, each have their own strategies, and each will soon or already are the leaders, right? With a variety of offerings, that enable the industry to adopt and drive use cases, right? What is also happening is there is like significant progress in the open source community, right? And we've seen what I'd like to say the Llama suite and the Falcon suite, which are doing well. There are like others, picking up, and they also are like a segment, in conjunction with the cloud hyperscalers, present like a really good value proposition, right? Now, these are like the mega Gen AI applications, mega LLMs. There is also increasingly lightweight Gen AI apps, which form the backbone, right? And that is also an area which is soon to evolve, right? So lightweight, Gen AI slash LLMs. There is also verticalized, very context use case specific Gen AI applications, which are coming out there and truly creating a splash. Right? So from an algorithm standpoint, in terms of like how we deploy Gen AI for our efficiencies or to drive like business automation for our clients, we've made significant investments in the open source space, right? And we were early at it. while everyone was focused on the commercial platforms, right? So that kind of has given us an edge. But what that has also taught us is that this is like an ever evolving space. So it's important for us to track across the board, right? Commercial, general purpose, Gen AI, open source, lightweight, and vertical Gen AI applications. So we will continue to do that and stay focused on what is the value, what is the ROI, what is the success criteria, and can one or more categories deliver to that. That has always been the focus for us, unless of course some clients expect us to be their innovation partners, right? And when we are innovation partners and R&D partners, there's the expectation that not all our engagements will be successful, right? So that's broadly how we are viewing it, right? We are focused on key three or four segments, and particularly in the vertical Gen AI space, it is very contextual to where we need to be, as opposed to doing and being everything for everyone.
Prashant, thanks for sharing your insights today. Any final thoughts?
Thanks, Manasa, again for having me. And again, to reiterate, we are perhaps, if you look at it from a consumer standpoint, right? Gen AI is a massive success, right? The entire hype cycle, which takes 2 3 years to evolve, was perhaps crunched in like a few months. We continue to see some evolution with regard to hallucination, misinformation, compliance, ethics, regulation. But I think it has a massive success, right? However, we are in the initial stages of how enterprises will adopt, right? Who will do what? The technology presents tremendous potential, and we are extremely excited to be at the forefront and drive change for our clients.
It's been a great conversation, Prashant. In a nutshell, Gen AI is reshaping the way businesses operate. Thanks for tuning in to SmartBots Podcast. Stay with us for more engaging talks in the Gen AI and tech world space. Until next time.